"When are you quitting?" the president of the company asked me while I was at work. "What?" While I was unable to say anything in response to these words, which were too abrupt, he continued. "You're about to retire, right? We don't need old people. Well, think about it." With that, he left. My name is Joshua, a 57-year-old company employee. I work for a company that grew out of a small factory in town, and I started working there ever since I graduated from college. The reason why I thought I want to work for this small company was because of the influence of the president. After reading an interview with the president in a local magazine at that time, I became interested in the company. I watched as he say he wanted to work with people he could grow with, and I thought, I want to be a part of it. When I expressed this desire at the interview, the president liked me, and I got the job. From there on, I worked for him and the company. When I married my wife, who had been my childhood friend, the president celebrated with us with a big party, and I liked him even more. I enjoyed my job, and the relationship of the people in the company is good. So, I thought I would work for this company until I retire. I worked faithfully for 35 years. Although the company has not grown that large, our company is surviving, while other companies in the same industry are being forced out of business. I believe it was the efforts of the president and the employees. The president has 2 sons. The oldest son works for a large corporation, while the second son came in and out of our company whenever he felt like it. The first son was excellent and got a job at a big company. So it seems that the president does not have the intention to let the first son take over the company. I am sure the president must have his own anguish, and that may also be his parental love. On the other hand, the second son seems to come to help out when he wants some money. The work I was in charge of was not something that the second son could help with, so I have only said hello to him. Rumor has it that the second son is not the serious type and rarely does any work, pompously claiming to be the president's son. They say he always behaves arrogantly. But I will be retiring in a few years, so there is no guarantee that I will still be working in the company until time of the change of the president. One time, however, the president was involved in an accident. He survived, but he will not be able to go to the work for a while, and will be stepping down as president. There was a plan to have another employee take over, but with the president's wife's strong insistence, it was decided that the second son is the one to take over. As a mother, it seems that she wanted her second son to take this opportunity to work hard. But, in the end, his arrogant behavior remained unchanged. The managing director followed up with the second president and managed to get by, but the future is uncertain. The name of the second president is Jack. He is 40 years old now that he became the second president. I have known him since he was young, and he is quite handsome. It seems that he has always been popular with the ladies. When he was in his 20s, the daughter of a president of a local company fell in love with him at first sight, and he married her. Apparently, the reason he hasn't taken a regular job until now is because his wife is working. I have never seen his wife, nor do I know which company's president's daughter she is, but I have heard rumors that his wife's father does not think well of him and does not want him to work for that company. As soon as Jack takes over as the president, he declares, "I'm going to reform the company." He says he is going to let the existing employees quit and hire the younger generation. But if the younger generation were to become the only ones right now, no one would be able to pass on the skills to them, and that would be fatal for the company. That's why, apparently, the managing director has been stopping him for a long time. In the midst of all this, I become Jack's target. "Mr. Joshua, you're about to turn 60, aren't you? Why don't you retire early?" Jack says in a light tone. "I like this company and I would never choose to resign myself. Besides, if I quit now, who will do the maintenance of the machines?" I was also in charge of the maintenance of the machines used in the operation, and it took some time for me to take over that responsibility. Although I had the specifications compiled on my computer, there are times that unexpected errors occur. So, I couldn't imagine quitting without someone taking over it. But even I explained it to him. Jack said, "Even an old man like you can do it. So, if we bring in a younger guy, we can make it work. I don't know if you're a technician or what, but your salary is higher than the other employees. I'll give you a severance package now, so just resign." With that, Jack handed me a resignation notice. I went home and talked to my wife about it, and she said, "You don't seem to be having much fun since the boss changed. So, if you will resign, that's fine." It is true that since Jack took over the company, I have been under a lot of unnecessary stress, and I am not enjoying my job anymore. While still unable to make a decision, I came to work, and there was a young woman I had not seen before. She must be around 30 years old. No one knows who she was, even among the employees. When Jack arrived at work, he said, "I've decided to get a secretary for myself, starting today." A secretary on this company's scale? The woman, introduced as Amelia, was strangely clingy to Jack. Jack has said he is going to reform the company, so I thought he must have had scouted out a good secretary from somewhere. But, looking at Amelia's work, it didn't seem like that was the case. When I asked the executive director about it, he said Jack brought her in on his own, so he didn't know who she was. A week later, Jack called me. "Mr. Joshua, come on, just submit your resignation letter." Then I firmly said to Jack, who was laughing, "I have worked faithfully for 35 years. I owe a debt of gratitude for the former president. So I intend to work until retirement and support this company." But Jack looked at Amelia, who was standing next to him, and laughed again. "Did you hear that? Our company won't grow even if we have an old man nearing retirement age. My father couldn't make this company grow much, could he? Old men are too stubborn to keep up with the times." Amelia also laughed at Jack's words. I was so pissed off at the bad things he said about the company I love and the former president. It's true that the company hasn't grown much, But while others in the same industry around us are going out of business, the former president has kept up with the times, adapted flexibly, and is still keeping up with sales. Don't you have any idea how hard that is? Jack glared at me when I said that. You're lecturing me, the president? I don't want any more of this. Just go ahead and write your resignation letter down. Jack threw a resignation notice at me. I'm done with this. I got so mad and filled out my resignation letter. Jack took it and laughed at me like I was an idiot. Then he pulled out his wallet and threw coins at me. The severance pay is $4. What? I couldn't help but say so. I want my severance pay to be paid properly. I continued, but Jack laughed. There's no such thing as that. Who told you that you would receive one? You wrote the resignation letter on your own accord, didn't you? No way. That's not what we were told. I raised my voice, but Jack ignored me and said, $4. Do you know what this means? I was so pissed I did not even want to think about it. When I was thinking how it does not matter anymore, Amelia burst out laughing. Oh no! Does that mean useless? What a terrible thing to do! $4. Is he trying to say with these amount that I am useless? That's what it means, and Amelia joined in on making fun of me. Jack, who was beside Amelia, said while nodding, That's how it is, so you don't have to come back tomorrow. Just clean your things up and go home. I glared at Jack, who was laughing, and said, Okay, and went back to my work area. What had I done all this time? While thinking this, I start up the computer that contains documents. I quickly clean my things up, tell the other employees that I'm quitting today, and leave the company. Of course, they asked me why I'm quitting, but I told them that I didn't feel like talking about it right now and that I'd call them when I calmed down. Then I left. A few days later, I received a phone call from the company. The caller was Jack. There was an error with the machine. I heard that the computer you were using has the data on it. There's nothing on it. What does that mean? Do something! He yelled out, without even saying hello. I laughed at him. You told me to clean it up, so I cleaned up the computer and deleted everything. You're hiring someone new, right? You can use that computer as it is. Jack said, Stop fooling around! Come here right now and fix the machine. I laughed and continued. That's impossible because I've already resigned. There's no way I'm going back to the company that told me I was useless. When I said that, Jack said, Damn it! And hung up the phone. Since then, I started looking for a new job. My wife is here and I own our house, so I want to work here in this area if possible. So I applied for a job at a local company that was hiring. The conversation progressed smoothly and I was able to get an interview invitation. The interviewer was a 40-year-old woman. I will be conducting the interview today. Please call me Williams. She greeted me politely. However, she had the same last name as Jack. I felt a little uncomfortable, but since the woman seemed to be a nice person, I just thought that it was not so unusual to have a last name like Williams, and that it does not matter what her last name is. But when Miss Williams asked me about the company I worked for some reason her face clouded over. Does it mean that the president of the company was replaced and you were fired? She asked me that, and I mumbled a few words before nodding. Miss Williams said, I see, and moved on to other questions. From Miss Williams' attitude, I thought I failed the interview. But a few days later, I received a notice that I had been accepted. And during that time, however, Jack had called me several times. He said that there was no one who could fix the machine and operations have been delayed. I told him over the phone, "You told me that even an old man like me can do it. So you could manage if you brought in someone younger, didn't you? So take responsibility for your words. You told me I am useless." I yelled at him angrily. But Jack still insisted. "Okay, I got it. I'll give you a special allowance, so just come here now." "I don't want to." I plainly rejected his offer. But Jack snickered. "Are you sure you are going to decline my offer? You can't find a new job anyway, can you? Don't you want some money?" The way he said that pissed me off. Don't lump me in with you. I don't want to be on the same level as you, who only come to the company when you wanted some money, and who blustered around without doing any real work just because you were the boss's son. Besides, I've already found a new job." Jack then retorted. "What? What kind of company would hire an old man like you?" "What a company? They got no knack on this." I didn't take a step back and said, "Well, you're right. I'm going to work for a company that can't discern things, so I'm not going to lend any help to you. The company that made me resign because I am useless." Jack clicked his tongue and hung up the phone. After that, I started working at my new job. Miss Williams taught me many things, and I was able to get along with her. She asked me about my previous company. It was like I was set up by the second president. And I left the company with $4 thrown at me as severance pay. I told her with a sigh. Miss Williams replied, $4? I told her, "I guess it is to tell me that I am useless." A few days later, on my way home, Miss Williams approached me. I asked her what's the matter, and Miss Williams spoke up apologetically. "I apologize for not telling you. Actually, the husband of your former company is my husband." Miss Williams told me a shocking truth. Miss Williams said that she is the daughter of the president of this company and the wife of Jack. I had no idea who Jack's wife is. I was surprised at how small the world was. She asked me to tell her the details of what had happened, so I did. And something even more shocking was revealed. Could it be that the secretary's name is Amelia? I nodded. She is my husband's affair partner. My eyes opened wide when she said that. She married Jack because she fell in love with him at first sight. They even had a daughter. But she gradually became frustrated on Jack not getting a regular job. At first, I thought that since I was the one who fell in love with him, I should be the one to provide for him, she said with a sigh. But in the last few years, she realized that Jack was having an affair. And it seems that she had just identified the person with whom he was having an affair. However, since their daughter is still a minor, she never thought of divorce. But when Miss Williams heard all this from me, she exploded in anger. I was thinking I had a weakness for love, but now I snapped out of it, Miss Williams declares. The next day, Jack called me. He really wanted me to come to the company to fix the machine. Seems like they are trying to get the machine to work somehow, but it moves and stops repeatedly and made noises. I sneered and told him I would stop by on my way home from work. Then the end of the workday passed and I went to my old company. I called out to Jack, and Amelia was next to him. I turned to Jack and said, "Did your reform go well? Certainly it seems that some young people have joined the company, but from what I saw earlier, the work isn't progressing at all. And from what I heard, the contractors are cutting off more and more contracts." Jack bit his lip in frustration. I continued, You can't even do maintenance of the machines. Are you trying to destroy the company? As a president, you have too little self-awareness. Since he's no longer the president or whatever to me, there's no need to use polite words. Jack glared at me. I snickered. The reason my salary was so high was because I was doing work that others couldn't do. Even though you've been in and out of this company for a long time, you don't even know that. Just because I had high salary, you drove me into resignation and used that paycheck for your secretary. When I said this, Jack and Amelia froze. I don't understand the nerve of hiring your cheating partner as your secretary. When I said this, Jack and Amelia looked at each other and said, You! Where did you hear that? I beckoned them toward my back. Why are you here? Miss Williams was there in front of his line of sight. I had brought her here upon the consent of the executive director. I have all the evidence of your affair. I wasn't thinking of divorce for the sake of my daughter, but I can't do it anymore. We'd be better off without a father like you. I want a divorce right now, and I'll have you pay alimony. As Miss Williams said this, Amelia tried to run away, but the executive director and I quickly caught her. You two must take full responsibility for what you have done. Both Jack and Amelia turned pale. After that, I reported everything to the former president. Of course, the former president was furious. Apparently, a family meeting was held, and the president's eldest son decided to quit the big company to take over as president. Jack was then confronted with divorce by Miss Williams. Miss Williams demanded alimony from Jack and Amelia. Jack was apparently thrown out of the house without a penny. According to Miss Williams, Jack and Amelia are living together in a shabby apartment, but they are constantly cursing each other. But it seems that they are together because they both have lost money and cannot live alone. Miss Williams said that Jack has been asking her to get back together, but she laughed and said, It's unthinkable, isn't it? The new president, his eldest son, asked me to come back, but I refused because I was already working for my new company. But I told him that the erased data on my computer has backup, and they are kept at the company. As expected, I couldn't just pretend and forget all that what I had spent doing in the company for so many years, so I had left the data behind. After that, the new president of the company negotiated with me, and our company became their new business partner. As expected to someone from a big company, the new president was excellent, and the company recovered. I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen from now on. I too will do my best at my current company.